Hello and welcome to this edition of Long Story. I'm Akshita Nandagopal. Goa is India's top tourist destination, but the little sunshine state is now in the news for a growing youth-led protest. This is the Save Mollem, Save Goa movement, which is fast gaining momentum both on ground and really across social media. Locals are protesting against 3 government-approved infrastructure projects, which they claim puts Goa's sensitive biodiversity at high risk. So what really are these projects and how are they impacting the environment? What are the demands also of Goa's young and old who are resisting the projects? Pankaj Kelkar gets you a special report.
A new age protest is underway in Goa. Led primarily by young Goans, this environmental protest is creating ripples on the ground and in the world of social media. It is not just the cause that's caught everyone's attention, but the innovative methods of protest. April 2020, while India remained shuttered indoors under the world's strictest coronavirus lockdown, the National Board for Wildlife conducted 2 video conferences, meetings which were headed by the Union Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar. And out of the proposals approved were 16 infrastructure projects which were now allowed to operate within or cut through various national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. 2 of these lay in Goa. There was a 3rd plan that had been approved earlier. Activists fear these 3 projects happening at the same time will irreversibly affect one of India's greenest states. All projects are in the same area and all 3 of them approved without a cumulative environment impact assessment. The 3 projects are a plan approved in December 2019 to double an existing railway track through 90 kilometers of a protected forest area of Mollem and Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary. The widening of an existing highway to 4 lanes crossing through the same biodiverse hotspot, and an additional 400 kV electricity transmission line coming from Karnataka to Goa, again in the same region. By June, concerned citizens came together to send across this letter to the country's environment minister, urging him to rethink the 3 infrastructure projects, all in a bid to save the Mollem forests. The millennial-led campaign soon resonated with concerned citizens outside the state.
Objection is that they would be creating enormous physical damage to the sanctuary. They would fragment the sanctuary into several portions, which the wildlife would find it difficult to maneuver and move across. They are hazardous for the wildlife because they would introduce high-speed vehicles, headlights in the night, mesmerize them, as a result of which they get killed and so on. So as a total package, all 3 projects through the wildlife sanctuary, the entire state of Goa is saying no means no.
Campaigners have questioned the manner in which the projects were cleared and demand a review. The 3 projects threaten to impact a protected area spanning 240 square kilometers across one of the world's 8 hottest hotspots of biological diversity, India's Western Ghats. Green activists and locals claim the government is colluding with large corporates under the garb of development.
Just humbly request the government is, please don't do it for people's development, because any projects like this is not for people's development, it's only destruction. So please reconsider, think about the environment, and please save our Goa.
One of the biggest protests took place in early November 2020, when more than 3,000 Goans gathered near a railway crossing in the historic village of Chandor, just a kilometer away from the ecologically sensitive area of Mollem National Park and Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary. In the middle of the night, with candles and banners in hand, angry locals chanted slogans to save Mollem and declared Goa does not want coal.
Say no to coal! Say no to
Activists claim these projects are coal-driven. Locals strongly feel these will further facilitate the government's plan to convert Goa into a coal hub, an allegation that the government continues to refute.
So exactly who do these projects really benefit? The government claims that these projects were granted clearances because they are in public interest. Locals and Goa's green activists, however, claim that the three linear projects will destroy the forested area of Mollem.
Most of the water that Goa receives, and much of it, I would say the northern part of Goa, it comes from these forests. The Mahadev Wildlife Sanctuary and Mahavir Sanctuary, they together supply water to these Anjuna Dam and Opa plant which is there, which is supplied to most of Goa. And anything that happens in these areas will directly affect a considerable population of people in Goa.
But the government at the centre and in the state remains steadfast on the claim that the three projects are not interlinked. They are meant for the benefit of corporates, but rather will immensely benefit Goans, they say. The Chief Minister alleges that the activists in Goa are habitual dissenters.
गोवा सरकार के लिए ये बात नई नहीं है। आज तक गोवा में जितने सारे डेवलपमेंट के प्रोजेक्ट आए हैं, यहाँ के एक्टिविस्ट, यहाँ के एनजीओ हर प्रोजेक्ट के ऊपर केस डालते आ रहे हैं। गोवा को क्या जरूरी है, गोवा के लोगों को किस चीज की जरूरत है, उसी के तहत हम केंद्र सरकार से सहकार्य में काम कर रहे हैं।
When India Today spoke to senior environmentalist and a Goan, Dr. Claude, the activists had a blunt reply. He pointed out how projects like the 400 kV transmission line is all set to produce much more than the region's power requirement and will most likely benefit neighbouring states.
Today, entitled quota of 1000 megawatt. We are not using more than 400. And peak we are going up to 600.
Dr. Claude also recalled another prominent Goan who had opposed previous proposals of placing infrastructure projects.
नाही साउथ वेस्टर्न रेल्वे एका ट्रॅकाचो डबल करूंक सोदता. गोवा गव्हर्मेंट डज नॉट वॉन्ट दॅट डबल ट्रॅकिंग. वी आर व्हेरी क्लियर. वी विल नॉट गिव एनी परमिशन फॉर डबल ट्रॅकिंग.
When India Today questioned the current government on this, the State Minister for Power and Environment was swift enough to justify former Chief Minister Parikar's statement.
Mr. Parikar was opposing the double tracking in a way what they are designed to do. What was that? See, Mr. Parikar told them very clearly. See, in 1998 they had done from meter gauge to broad gauge. The same railway, South Western Railways, in 1998 there was a meter gauge, they made it into broad gauge. But the problems of the people were never solved. This is what Mr. Parikar was highlighting. He has been misquoted.
It isn't just the impact on environment that worries the locals. They fear the state's tourism industry will be collateral damage if the projects are allowed to proceed.
59,000 trees have been marked to be cut in this sanctuary itself. But in total, 1.5 lakh trees have been marked in Goa itself to be cut for these three linear projects which Goans have been protesting.
The protected area in question is home to multiple endemic animals and plants, verdant tropical forests and waterfalls, including Dudhsagar, which is a big tourist draw.
Citizens in Goa are leading a statewide protest against the three government-approved projects which they claim threatens the Sunshine State's fragile ecosystem. Multiple activists and locals opposing the three infrastructure projects believe that it's coal that's driving these projects. The government, however, has denied these allegations. India Today visited the Mormugao Port Trust area to find out exactly what the reality is on ground.
About 29 kilometers from Panjim, this is Mormugao Port Trust. And here it is coal dust that flies in the air, settling as soot wherever it finds space. Here train wagons get filled with coal to transport it all over the country. But the coal dust that it leaves behind in the air forces residents to wear a mask.
We got forced to eat this coal. That peoples of India, maybe all the world, are using the mask in this pandemic situation for last maybe 4, 5, 6 months. But last 15 years, Goans and localates of Murmagaon has to wear this mask because of this coal pollution. There are so many, so many health problems. We have the highest rate of COVID deaths in Murmagaon because this is related to directly to the lungs, with the breathing problem.
Despite various warnings, the situation at the Mormugao port has been spiraling out of control, and the Goa Pollution Board hasn't been able to do much.
At least two of them directly are connected with the making of Goa into a coal hub. The state of Goa has got a port called the Mormugao Port Trust. And this port has been handling coal, began as a matter of fact to handle coal from 1999. By the year 2000, that is within 1 year, the citizens of Vasco were before the High Court saying that they could not bear the coal pollution. The High Court then took 10 years to resolve that problem, calling for expert committee reports and so on, and finally passed a judgment saying that if there is coal handling at the port, it has to be done in a closed, containerized dome so that no coal escapes into the atmosphere.
Activists insist that coal is the big driving force behind the 3 projects that have been given environmental clearance. They believe that the aim is to make Goa a coal hub, a gateway for bringing in coal from overseas, because the cost of moving coal through this small state is cheaper than moving it through neighboring Maharashtra or Karnataka.
वहाँ पे जो 2 कंपनी कोल हैंडलिंग कर रहा है, उन्होंने एक्चुअली वो डोम शेप में, डोम विदिन द डोम कोल हैंडलिंग के लिए परमिशन मांगा है. उसके ऊपर भी किसी ने केस फाइल कर दिए हैं. दैट इज पेंडिंग इन द एनजीटी. समझो एक बार एनजीटी से क्लियर हो जाए मैटर, तो वहाँ पे डोम स्ट्रक्चर प्रिपेयर करने के लिए उनको परमिशन मिल जाए, तो मुझे लगता है कि उनका जो पोल्यूशन हो रहा है वो डेफिनेटली इट विल रिड्यूस टू द 80% ऑटोमेटिकली.
Activists allege that the railway track doubling through Mollem forest is being undertaken solely to expand the coal carrying capacity of the line that connects Mormugao port with northern Karnataka.
We have named it as a coal revolt. If at all the coal comes to Goa in the high amount, in the future it is going to expand slowly, and the government is denying that it is getting expanded, but they are just lying to us that they won't expand it. So we have a clear message that we are opposing this coal all over Goa because we don't want this coal and this harmful coal which will bring up lots of diseases, and already in Vasco and all we have been facing lots of problems like cancer.
The train carrying coal passes through densely populated areas of South Goa. The track, which is now single, will soon be doubled, and that would also mean heavy shaving of the reserve forest area.
The plans are to convert all our villages, our rivers and our lands into coal transportation areas with highways, railways, all kinds of infrastructure projects being constructed only for the purpose of coal. The people of Goa are going to lose all their livelihoods. Tourism is going to be destroyed, the beaches are going to disappear, our fish is going to be out of our menu cards. We are not going to have any agriculture, and Goa is going to just collapse if this plan goes ahead. And this plan is only for the sake of a few corporations, Jindal, Adani and Vedanta, to transport coal to parts of Karnataka near Goa where lots of steel and power plants are being proposed only to satisfy the needs of the Western countries and which are against the national interest.
On the 5th of November 2020, the Adani Group tweeted refuting claims of it having business interests in the infrastructure projects.
They are alleging that the coal will be brought. We as a government, I'm telling you that we will see that Goa government, and I will be, forget me as a minister, I will stand as a commoner and support them when existing coal will come, not increasing to 54 million metric tons and 138 million metric tons in the state of Goa and the MPT.
Activists are demanding written assurances from the Chief Minister of Goa that the coal import will be reduced to half and that the double tracking won't be used to ply coal to Karnataka.
Who wants this project? Who is in favor of project? CM? CM saying that, he wants only 50% reduction. Give us in writing now, today, it is required that double tracking is not meant for coal. Give us in writing that sea, which is going to be a privatized, is not going to take our private land, who is the fishermen's there. Tell us to give us the 4 lane. There won't be a letter which is coming from the highway that these 6 lanes are only meant for a heavy vehicle. There won't be a transportation of local private vehicle. Give us in writing, give us in black and white. He's just giving us a false assurance for the political thing.
But the Chief Minister says there is no need for written assurances, while at the same time also alleging that activists are misleading the public.
Our port minister is visiting the state. थोड़े ही दिन में वो विजिट करने वाले हैं, इसलिए हमको लोगों को रिटर्न एश्योरेंस देने की जरूरत नहीं है. स्टेट की सेफ्टी, स्टेट के लोगों की सिक्योरिटी इज माय कंसर्न. Being a CM,
a department related standing committee of the Rajya Sabha, in its findings, the committee clearly states that there is a need to invest in renewable energy and move away from coal. Further, it goes on to study cargo handling at Murmagaon and has recommended that given the popularity of Goa as an international tourist destination, the committee says that MPT should realign its focus on developing itself as a major port catering to cruise tourism. They also say that this realignment of business will ensure the port is maintained as a profitable and viable venture while ensuring preservation of the environment in keeping with the orders of the Supreme Court.
And now let's take a closer look at the 3 projects which are being vehemently opposed by Goans. Pankaj Kelkar takes us on ground to understand why there are such vehement objections against infrastructure projects which claim to be for the benefit of the people.
As India Today travelled through the state of Goa, voices of dissent continued. Village after village, locals spoke out against the 3 infrastructure projects.
We are in the pandemic, and because of the worldwide lockdown, I had seen a lot of videos and articles wherein nature was healing itself. And I thought to myself, finally, mankind will have learnt its lesson and they will leave nature alone. And suddenly when I learned that these guys have cut about 3,000 plus trees, and that too from around a national forest area, I couldn't believe it. I was like, is this even real? First I thought it was a joke or something, but when I actually saw footage and pictures of all these trees which are just being cut, and this was just the start of their massive projects.
Local filmmaker Rocky Wills insisted our cameras should capture the devastating effects of such massive infrastructure projects in eco-sensitive zones. Off the National Highway 4, we walk into a dense tropical forest. Massive trees on both sides. The forest path suddenly opens up to this heart-wrenching visual. We are told the land is a private property, but trees here too were chopped off to make way for the construction of a 400 kilowatt substation, which will get a fresh high-tension electric line from Karnataka to Goa.
It is only for the people of Goa. 28% of the line is going to be used by the people of Goa. So this is the whole scenario of power, that over the next 3-4 years, if we increase it 5%, the lines which are bringing in the power will be no more there to bring the power to Goa. Today, because we are a single nation, one grid, we can buy power from anywhere in the country, but it has to be brought by the lines, by the conductors. So that is why this 400 kVA line is very important.
Contrary to what the state government claims, the 19th Electric Power Survey shows a different story. For the year 2021-2022, the findings show that Goa's domestic consumption is just 26.91%, whereas the commercial and industrial consumption is 65.63%. The remaining 7.46% accounts for public spaces and communal activities. With the new transmission line, Goa will have double the power that is its requirement. Activists question then why the need for a transmission line that has already led to the felling of nearly 2,600 trees. They claim the power will be manufactured not for the people of Goa, but rather industries in neighboring states which have massive steel and coal plants. Locals also point out findings of an environment impact assessment conducted for the transmission line does not exist in public domain, which is a violation of the fundamental right to information. 55-year-old shepherd Dhaku has roamed these forests his entire life, and he makes a living off the land. But he is also heartbroken to see the loss of his jungle.
आम का जंगल का मानुस है नहीं, आपका जंगल का मानुस है, धनगर समाज का है.
आप जंगल का राजा ही.
हाँ, हाँ, राजा जंगल का राजा, हमें जंगल रहता है.
पर अभी ये राजा का जंगल ही पूरा नष्ट हो गया.
हाँ.
Many villagers like Dhaku feel that such massive deforestation will lead to wild animals straying onto the highway or railway tracks, into human dwellings, creating a new problem where none existed previously.
See, what happens is when rail tracks, pass through forests, not just the rail tracks, even, road networks pass through forests. One is they fragment the forest. Second thing is animals don't know borders, right? They don't know that roads are going to be something that can impact them or can at the cost of their lives. So many a times, there have been leopard kills, there have been so many other animals that have come under the vehicles which are passing at high speeds.
From Mollem Forest, India Today team travelled to South Goa. And near the village of Kasoli, we spotted a train carrying coal through the densely populated villages of South Goa. It is through villages like this that the double tracking of train lines is being planned, and locals are dead against the railway line expansion.
See, my house is almost 15 meters away from the track, existing track. There are constant trains, which give damage or with vibration. My house got cracked, you can see.
They point to a unique problem. They say that the proposed train line expansion will go through some of South Goa's heritage villages. Villages which have charming old Goan villas, which are tourist attractions. The locals claim that the rise in vibrations from increased train traffic will cause structural damage to these properties and ultimately will lead to the loss of heritage. And that will mean an impact on the tourism trade because the villas will not survive for long. When India Today confronted the state's Minister for Power and Environment about local opposition to the doubling of train tracks, he said he has already found solutions to the problems.
What I have done, found a solution. His first railway is to do embankment with mud. And they used to put the track and that vibration used to go. Today, wherever this problem was, railways have built a concrete RCC retaining wall, put dampeners inside the railway property, so the vibration impact has become less.
Leaders from the ruling party also claim that the double track will be used not only to transport coal, but moreover, it will be helpful for commuters, for tourists to reach this place. And more than that, they also claim that double tracking is not happening only on this track that is towards Karnataka, but also towards Mumbai.
But activists and locals say stopgap solutions will not work, and they feel that the entire objective of these expansions are suspect.
The road is expanding all over Goa, and they want to widen the roads from most of the villages, and the Goan villages are very small, and we want to protect the identity and the culture and the heritage of Goa so that the tourist comes to Goa.
Sun, sand and waves is the stereotypical description of Goa. But where the golden sand ends is where the green of Goa begins. It is an integral part of the Western Ghats and its biodiversity. For the locals, Goa is the land and everything that stands on it. Now they fear that the future of Goa and its land will get written in the dust of coal. So Mollem is rising.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.